to get the robots, so we land on Mars, the robots hit the ground splat, and then I want to get them away from the landing site and send them off to work. So let me ask for 7 robots to come off to work. I'm going to be driving the one always with the fast blue light. So again, I'll get 7 robots to go to work. So I don't care what 7 I get, as long as I get 7. Except for this morning, we'll figure out who's going to be. Whoops. Except for this morning, we'll figure out who's going to be part of the group. So I miscounted a little bit. I had to leave one behind. The blue robots are doing follow the leader. The red robots are remaining still and not responding to my remote. Here, please grab one. Well, does anyone not hold back? And I'm being serious, actually.
Yay, camera guy. Still haven't quite perfected battery technology. Still working on that.
So one of the joys of live robot demonstrations, as you can see, is that sometimes you have technical difficulties. I usually swap these batteries out, but I didn't have one this morning. Now, where were we? So we have a bunch of robots. We have them following the leader. Let's say we have now gotten to where we want to get to, and we want to get the rest of our robot friends to the same location. So we're having them now cluster to one location. The way the robots are talking to each other, they're using infrared light, the same way a remote control talks to a television. The robots are a little more sophisticated because they can not only communicate with their neighboring robots. I'm good. Thank you. They can not only communicate with their neighboring robots, but they can. But they can figure out what direction their neighboring robots are from and how far away they are. Each robot has the notion of the neighbors around it and how far away they are. But their communication range is only about 1 meter. So I can't get them too far away from each other because they'll lose sight of each other. Having all of your robots in one spot on Mars really isn't very useful. Let's move over here for a second. So we can get them all spread out. Alright, we have all the robots now spread out over a large area. Robots aren't very smart. You can tell them this is a large area and they'll believe you. If we don't like where we are here, we can go explore another place. So I've got them all now trying to face the same direction as the leader, and then I'm going to have them all move stage left. So we can all move out as a group, do a very simple flocking algorithm. If we don't like where we are, we can all turn around. Get them all going back the other way. Yeah, if you're a robot stuck behind the lectern here, get you guys coming out. All right, so let's say we've now explored the areas we want to explore. And let's say this robot here, the one that I'm driving, has found something very interesting. Let's say it's found a fossil on Mars. So it's going to ask for help from this one to help analyze that fossil. Now I've told us the communication range is only about 1 meter. So how can this robot figure out how to get to that one? Let's get a high school student to answer. Well, okay, you can answer anyway. Go ahead.
They'll talk to the robot that's closer to the head robot.
So he's saying talk to this one, talk to that one, talk to that one, and then work its way up the chain. Yeah? Okay, let's go see if that works. Alright. So I'm on Mars, plunk, and I have found a fossilized door, which is a very interesting thing to find on Mars. This robot here is now going to use this network to move towards robots that are closer. I'm going to have to cheat a little bit. So I put that robot there to pass the network because there's a big gap right there. And now this robot here is moving through the network towards the one that has found the thing to get to the goal. And then a mean engineer comes and moves the fossil. But that's okay because the network is dynamic. The network has to be dynamic because robots move all the time. The network has to be able to communicate fast enough to keep up with the robot's motion. Ta-da! All right. So that's navigation. We'll come back to that presentation. Here's a simple dynamic, a simple division labor algorithm. I've asked all the robots to form 3 groups, red, blue, and green. And all the red robots are going to cluster around the red leader, which is, where's the red leader? Here's the red leader, here's the blue leader, and here's the green leader, which green is not the happiest color right now. To quote the great philosopher Kermit, it ain't easy to be a green.
No.
At any rate, we have 3 different groups. The way this works, each robot picks its group based on its name, and then it clusters around members in the same group, and then it moves away from members in the other group. So you end with 3 nice little clumps on the ground. The reds are attacking the blues. All right. So now that we've done our exploration, we've done our work, we've divided up into different groups. Now let's protect our findings because Mars is a dangerous place. There could be other robots or Martians, who knows what's in Mars. So I've asked an even number of robots to cluster around the source. I've asked an odd number of robots, which are flashing their blue lights, to circulate around the perimeter, forming a secure perimeter. So as long as whatever is on Mars is scared of a 5-inch tall robot, your fossil is now secure. And we can do really fancy things like the classic roller skating switch directions. Now we can rotate the other way. The robots do not have cliff sensors, so they will very happily drive off this thing. The new ones I'm working on will have cliff detectors so they don't do anything quite so stupid. Okay, here's my last algorithm.
Oh.
Yeah, I've done this before. So this has to be 113. I'm going to cheat a little bit and put 113 over here. So now let's say we're done exploring and we want to get all the robots off of Mars. But we want to do it in a slightly OCD fashion. We want them all to line up based on their robot ID, based on their name, and form a nice straight line so they can leave Mars in an orderly fashion. So the way this works is I'm going to ask them to sort themselves. Who are the computer scientists in the room? Get some hands. 1, 2, 3. Don't be shy. Computer scientists, come on. Be proud. You're easy. Like it. So what we're going to do is a physical bubble sort. I'm going to ask them all to sort themselves the same way the classic computer science bubble sort runs. And the way this works is that there are 2 robots that are special. The one that I'm driving, Robot 2, knows it's special because after listening to all the messages that have been passed around the network, it has never received a message from a robot with an ID less than 2, because 2 is the lowest ID that's currently out there. Likewise, Robot 113 is also special because it has never received a message from a robot greater than 113. So both these robots know they're special and they're going to stay put. The blue robot's going to stay blue and not move. The red robot's going to stay red and not move. All the other robots, and those are going to form our anchors. All the other robots are going to turn green, and they're going to look around their local neighborhood and find the highest ID that's less than their ID, and the lowest ID that's greater than their ID. So that's their predecessor and their successor in the list, and then they're going to physically move in between those two robots. That creates a little straight line segment of 3 robots long, and then if all the robots are doing that, you have all of these straight line segments, and by induction, you end up with a globally straight line. So let's watch it go. Okay, we're seeing that. So that one right there is robot 3. That one wants to end up right next to 2. It's found it. And they're kind of moving around, they're sorting, they're tingling. You have to have a kind of a zen and art of robots. They're not going to do what you want right away, but they'll settle in to the right solution. And look at that. We have a beautiful straight line. Just in case you're wondering, this is perfectly straight. This is the straightest they ever get. Let me get a witness, if you would. So why don't you start from that end? And what robot is that right there? It's on the back. That's the front. Okay, I've got 2. What you got next? And then I've got 3, 8, 24, and 38. So sure enough, they all lined up. Thank you. So this is really cool. And you can sit down and think about the theory of physical data structures and sorting in physical space and all kinds of really boring stuff, which is what I do all day long. All right, so now let's get them all back home. So I'm going to ask them all to cluster onto the blue robot. And what's going to happen is that some of them are going to stay blue. They're going to turn blue red. They're not going to move. All the other ones are going to turn red, and they are going to move. So the ones who are blue are going to be acting like breadcrumbs. Blue breadcrumbs, what happens to breadcrumbs if you leave them alone for too long. And all of us are going to use them as a navigation aid to get back home. So off they go. So there's the blue ones right there. They're staying put. Oh, that one just breadcrumbs. The red ones are collapsing around them. So this kind of routing structure that they make dynamically lets them navigate their environment very safely. They have to worry about breaking the network or disconnecting it because the blue robots form a not moving, rigid backbone for the communication network. And they've all gotten back home. It's not very impressive when they're only navigating over 4 meters, but when they're navigating over 100 meters, which you'll see in the video, it's a lot cooler. Okay, there's our demo. Thank you very much for the battery fairies, people. All right, so where do you get ideas to program all these robots? How do you go about knowing that you can do this? Well, nature has been writing software for large systems of agents for a very long time. Ants and bees have been at this for millions of years. And they're very effective at leveraging their local interactions to reduce complex group behaviors. Here's an example of honeybee interactions. So this is by Thomas Sully out of Cornell. And he was trying to understand how honeybees decide how to recruit different workers to different food sites. And I recognize it's kind of hard to see. It says something like foraging rate for nectar site B, dancing strength for food site B, search time to find a food store bee. So when honeybees come back with food, they land, and the bees who are foraging stay put, and the food storer bees come out and unload them, and then go back into the hive and store the food. So the amount of time that the honeybee is waiting to be unloaded. Imagine you pull up with a truck, which is what honeybees are. They're really just trucks. They're flying little bean trucks. They're trucks that carry nectar and pollen. So they show up with a full load, and then the amount of time they have to wait to get unloaded tells them how hungry the hive is. If they show up and they're unloaded right away, that means that the hive is probably pretty hungry, and they go inside and recruit. If they go up and they have to wait before someone unloads them, then the hive probably isn't hungry because no one was clamoring for food, and they can go inside and recruit less vigorously. So whatever, all this honeybee stuff. But when you look at this, to a computer scientist, what does this look like? Surely it's a computer science subject. Starts with an F. Ends in a low chart.
Flowchart.
There you go. This looks like a flow chart. This looks like a diagram of how the computation and thinking work. So this is very exciting.